What happens when a CEO rents a beach chair at his own resort and sees the lifeguard coughing up blood? Perry Barnes rubbed sunscreen on his arms and adjusted his cheap sunglasses. The breeze off the coast was warm and salty. Tourists laughed nearby, kids ran past him with dripping popsicles, and a steel drum cover of a Taylor Swift song played faintly from a beach bar. He looked like any other traveler, worn-out flip-flops, cargo shorts, and a t-shirt that said, Myrtle Beach Marathon 2017. But he wasn't a tourist. He was the owner. 3 years ago, Perry bought a small chain of 12 beach resorts scattered across the Southeast. Back then, they were run-down, badly managed, and bleeding money. He'd turned them around at least. That's what his spreadsheets told him. Customer reviews were good, profits were up, and nobody from the beachside shores location had ever raised red flags. But lately, something had been bugging him. 2 lifeguards had quit in the last month. A few guests left vague complaints about staff looking overwhelmed or too tired. The local manager, Jay, blamed it on Gen Z work ethic and said everything was under control.
Perry didn't buy it.
He'd never personally met most of the frontline staff, understandable, since the resorts were scattered and had high turnover. So he decided to check it out himself. He shaved his beard, grew his hair out, and used a fake name, Rick. He booked a room for 5 days, paid in full, and told only one person in corporate what he was doing. He'd been staying here 2 days now, pretending to be a laid-back guest. He'd eaten at the cafe, ordered drinks at the bar, even signed up for a morning paddleboard class. He'd seen good things, kind service, hard-working housekeepers, but also moments that didn't sit right. A bartender snapped at a child. A front desk clerk looked terrified when asking for a break. Perry made mental notes, but nothing was concrete. Until today. He was lounging near the lifeguard tower when he first noticed him, tall, tan, with dark circles under his eyes. The guy was pacing along the shore, blowing his whistle at kids too far out, but every few minutes he'd hunch over and cough hard into his elbow. After a while, a young female lifeguard jogged up with a bottle of water. "Here, Nate, please drink something," she said. "I'm good," the guy croaked. "I'll finish this shift." "You're not good," she said. "You look awful." "She's right," Perry muttered out loud. He watched Nate lean against the tower, holding his ribs like they hurt. Then came the kicker, a voice from behind Perry. "Damn it, Nate's still here?" It was the resort manager, Jay. Mid-40s, gold watch, polo shirt with the resort logo. He walked past Perry, without noticing him. "I told him we're short today. He can't leave." The girl lifeguard looked stunned. "But he said he's been coughing up blood." "And I said we can't afford to lose another body right now," Jay snapped. "Unless you want to cover his shift?" "No?" "Then stay in your lane, Amber." Perry sat frozen in his chair. Jay walked away, without looking back. Nate slowly pulled on his sunglasses and climbed the tower, moving like it hurt to breathe. Perry felt sick. He stood up, heart pounding. He didn't even realize he was walking toward the tower until he was right underneath. "You all right?" he asked. Nate glanced down. "Yeah, man. All good. Just allergies."
Perry shook his head.
"That's more than allergies." Nate hesitated. "Look, I asked for time off.
Twice.
They said no. Said we're too short." Perry looked toward the hotel. Jay stood by the towel shack, laughing with a couple of guests like nothing was wrong. "How long you been sick?"
Perry asked.
3 days. Got tested negative for COVID, but still. "I've been coughing up blood since yesterday." "And they still made you work?" Nate looked down at him. "You a reporter or something?" "No," Perry said. "Just a concerned guest." But he wasn't just a guest. He owned the place. And now he knew exactly what the problem was. Perry didn't return to his beach chair. He watched Nate in the tower for a moment longer, then turned and walked slowly toward the resort building. His flip-flops kicked up sand as he crossed the path by the volleyball courts. He didn't look like a CEO. And right now, he didn't feel like one either. He felt like a man watching something rot from the inside. Inside the lobby, cool air hit his face. The front desk was manned by a young woman with braided hair pulled into a bun. Her name tag read Kelsey. She was talking to a man in a Hawaiian shirt, nodding politely as he droned on about a missing towel charge on his bill. Her smile faded for a second when she turned to glance at the time on the wall. Then it snapped back into place. Perry didn't interrupt. He scanned the lobby. Clean, polished, modern enough. But no sign of Jay. He stepped into the hallway near the employee-only door and waited. A few minutes passed before someone came through at a teenager in a housekeeping uniform pushing a cart of linens. She jumped when she saw Perry standing there. "Sorry," she said. "This area's for staff." "I know. I'm looking for your manager, Jay." She hesitated. "He's probably in the back office." "Mind telling him Rick from room 206 wants a word?" She nodded, clearly unsure, and disappeared behind the door. While he waited, Perry leaned against the wall. A family passed by on their way to the pool, kids squealing. Behind it all, he heard voices muffled, tense coming from the hallway. The office door opened a minute later, and Jay stepped out, expression tight. "We got a complaint?" Jay asked as he approached, voice just loud enough to carry. "You all right with your room, sir?" Perry stood straight. "Room's fine. I need to talk to you about Nate." Jay's smile dropped.
Oh,
"That." "Yeah," Perry said. "That." Jay glanced around. "Let's not have this conversation out here." He led Perry through the hallway and into a small office that smelled faintly of microwave popcorn and cleaning spray. There were 2 chairs, a desk, and a wall-mounted monitor showing the pool and beach cams. Jay shut the door and stayed standing. "Look, I know how it looks," Jay began. "But the guy's been dramatic all week. Every time we get busy, he starts playing sick. We can't afford to lose any more coverage." "You don't think coughing up blood is serious?"
Perry asked.
Jay looked irritated. "He says that, but no one's seen it. No doctor's note. And half the time it's allergies or some sinus crap. If I gave every kid a day off because they sniffled, we'd be shut down by July." Perry crossed his arms. "You're not running a lemonade stand. You've got someone out there responsible for lives." Jay raised his eyebrows. "I don't need a lecture. I've been doing this for 8 years. I know when someone's really sick and when they're bailing." "Have you even asked him to see a doctor?" "That's not my job," Jay said. "He's an adult. If he wants to go, he can. But he knows if he walks off mid-shift again, he's done here. Simple as that." Perry stared at him. Jay didn't blink. "All right," Perry said. "Then I'll talk to him myself." Jay's lip curled. "Be my guest. Just don't encourage more whining. These kids cling to excuses like floaties." Perry stepped past him without another word. He found Nate at the base of the tower 15 minutes later. The guy had come down between rotations, sitting on the edge of the wooden platform with his head in his hands. Amber stood nearby, arms crossed, scanning the beach like she was filling in while he rested. Perry walked up and crouched beside Nate. "You still planning to finish the day like this?" Nate looked up, eyes bloodshot. "Don't really have a choice." "There's always a choice," Perry said. "You go to a clinic yet?" Nate shook his head. "I can't afford it. My insurance doesn't kick in until next month. Got a free screening at the urgent care, but they said if it gets worse to come back. I can't cover the labs, though. Not on this pay." Perry nodded slowly. "So, why not just call out?" "Jay already wrote me up once last week. Said another no-show and I'm gone. I'm trying to pay rent, save for school in the fall. I need this job." Perry looked at Amber. She hadn't taken her eyes off the water, but she was listening. "How long's the understaffing been going on?"
Perry asked.
Amber answered without turning. "Since mid-May. We're down 4 guards. 1 got heat stroke, 2 quit, 1 got a better offer across town." "And they weren't replaced?" Nate gave a dry laugh. Jay said to make it work. So we're working 10-hour days, no extra pay. He cut our second breaks last week. Cut your breaks.
Yeah.
Said we didn't look busy enough. My partner passed out last Tuesday after her third shift in a row. They gave her a Gatorade and told her to hydrate better. Amber finally looked away from the surf. It's been like this all summer.
No backup.
No one listens. If we speak up, we get told we're lazy. Perry stood.
All right.
You're both off for the day. Now. Nate blinked. We can't, you can. Tell whoever's next on rotation to come out, and then go inside. I'll cover the rest. Amber looked confused. You're a certified guard? No, Perry said. But I'm the guy who signs the checks. Nate stared. What? I'm Perry Barnes, he said. Owner of this resort. They both went silent. Amber dropped her gaze first. I didn't mean anything. We weren't trying to. You didn't do anything wrong, Perry said. You did more than anyone else here. Go inside. Get some water. Someone's coming to relieve you in 20 minutes. Nate stood, wobbling slightly. Are you serious? I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. He watched them walk off toward the staff entrance, Nate leaning slightly on Amber's arm. Back in the lobby, Perry went straight to the front desk. Can you page all department leads to the conference room? He asked Kelsey. She looked startled, but nodded. Right away. 15 minutes later, 5 people sat around a long table: housekeeping, kitchen, maintenance, and guest services leads, all in uniform. Jay entered last, arms crossed. I wasn't told there was a meeting, he said. Perry stood at the head of the table. There is now, he said. Let's talk about how we treat staff here. Because what I've seen over the past 2 days is unacceptable. Jay opened his mouth, but Perry cut him off. You've been working your people past legal limits, denying breaks, ignoring medical concerns, and brushing off turnover like it's a weather report. That ends today. The room was dead silent. I've already called corporate, Perry continued. An HR audit starts tomorrow morning. Until then, Jay, you're relieved of duty. Your access is suspended, and your conduct will be reviewed. Jay's face flushed. You're firing me? Over one kid with a cold? No, Perry said. I'm firing you for systemic neglect, retaliation, and a complete failure of leadership. He nodded toward security, who'd quietly entered behind Jay. The man stood, jaw clenched, and walked out without a word. Perry turned back to the others. This place runs because of you, he said. And starting now, it's going to run with you in mind. We're hiring additional staff immediately. Anyone who missed breaks will be compensated. And every employee gets a direct line to HR moving forward. The housekeeping lead, a woman in her 50s with tired eyes, looked down at her lap. The guest services lead blinked hard and nodded slowly. Perry continued, voice steady. I'm not here to make your lives harder. I'm here because I forgot what it looks like on the ground. I'm not making that mistake again. No one applauded. No one needed to. They just listened. And that was enough. The sun was slipping lower behind the palms as Perry stepped out of the conference room. His shirt clung slightly to his back, not from heat. The AC worked fine, but from how tightly the tension had wrapped around his chest. He moved through the hallway without looking at anyone, just long enough to catch his breath. He needed to think. He didn't get far before a quiet voice stopped him. Mr. Barnes? It was Kelsey, the front desk clerk. She stood a few feet away, hands clasped in front of her stomach. Do you have a second? He nodded and followed her behind the counter, where she led him into the small break room off the lobby. It was cramped: a microwave, 2 chairs, and a mini fridge covered in faded magnets. She motioned for him to sit. I didn't want to say anything earlier, she began. Not with everyone there. Perry waited. I've been here 6 months, she said. It's my first job since graduating. I really wanted to stay. But Jay. He made it hard. She glanced up. He kept a clipboard. He'd write down how much makeup I wore if I wore the same earrings too often. Once, he asked if I thought my natural hair was too political for hotel branding. Perry's jaw tightened. I tried to report it to the regional HR line. The call got rerouted to this office. Guess who picked up? He didn't need to ask. I stopped trying after that, she said. He started cutting my hours the next week. I've been living off leftovers from the cafe. If it weren't for Bria in laundry sharing her tips, I would have had to leave town. Perry leaned forward. Have you told anyone else? I try to keep my head down, but I couldn't ignore what happened to Nate. That wasn't a one-time thing. Perry nodded once. I'll be making calls tonight.
Not just about Jay.
We're going to audit every complaint, every rerouted HR call, and every decision made under his management. Kelsey exhaled. Thank you. He stood and extended his hand. You did the right thing speaking up. She shook it, her grip firm now. He returned to his room briefly to change out of his beach clothes. The mirror above the dresser caught him off guard. He looked older than he had a week ago. Not tired, just different. He pulled on a clean polo and khakis, then stepped back into the hallway. By the time he reached the staff lounge, the sky had gone orange. He found Bria, the laundry tech Kelsey mentioned, folding towels into neat stacks. She glanced up. Thought you were a guest, she said, not unkindly. I was, he replied. Not anymore. She didn't ask what he meant. I wanted to ask about hours, he said. Have you been working doubles? 3 days straight, she replied. Laundry's backed up. We're down 2 people and the new hires walked out after training. Jay told us to move faster. When was your last full day off? Bria blew a breath through her nose. Maybe 2 weeks ago. I stopped counting. He nodded toward the folding table. You're running this alone?
For now.
My night shift partner had to pick up her son. I told her to go. I'll manage. Perry scanned the room. A single fan rotated in the corner. No windows. No clock. Just the steady rhythm of folding, folding, folding. You've got help coming tomorrow, he said. I'm sending someone from corporate to meet with each department. You'll get input on scheduling, and we're hiring temp staff to stabilize the load. Bria didn't react right away. She folded another towel. Then another. I'll believe it when I see it, she said quietly. Fair enough, he thought. Words were cheap. He had a lot to prove. He left her to her work and headed to the beach office, where the Lifeguard team kept their logs and equipment. The door was unlocked. Nate sat inside, a hoodie pulled over his head, sipping from a paper cup. Amber leaned against the counter, arms crossed, watching him. Still holding together? Perry asked. Nate looked up. Resting. Amber made me sit. I didn't argue. Good, Perry said. Because tomorrow, you're going to a doctor. On the company's dime. I've already cleared it with legal. Full evaluation. No cost to you. Nate blinked. Seriously? Perry nodded. I'll have paperwork ready by morning. Amber tilted her head. What about coverage? If Nate's out, we're still short. I've arranged for 2 certified guards from our Carolina location to rotate in starting tomorrow. They'll stay 2 weeks, maybe more, until we hire replacements. Amber's face softened, just a little. That'll help. Also, Perry said, you're being promoted. You're the new lead for this team. She stared at him. You've shown good judgment, he said. You protected your teammate. That's exactly the kind of leadership we need. I've never managed anyone. You've already been doing it. Now you'll get paid for it. Nate grinned faintly. Guess you're the boss now. Amber shook her head in disbelief. I don't know what to say. Start by making a list of what this team needs to function safely, Perry said. No fluff. Just real needs. Give it to me by noon tomorrow. She nodded slowly. I can do that. Good. He turned to leave, but Nate called after him. Thanks for seeing us. Perry paused at the door. Thanks for not giving up. Night had fallen by the time Perry returned to the administrative office. He sat behind the desk Jay used to occupy and opened the personnel files. One by one, he read through them. Work histories, disciplinary notes, complaints. There were patterns, hours not logged, grievances dismissed without follow-up, warnings issued for vague infractions like attitude and tone. He pulled out a notepad and started writing. By midnight, he had 5 names flagged for potential retaliation, 3 more for review. He sent the files to HR with an attached summary. Then he called the regional director and left a voicemail. Tomorrow, we start rebuilding. I'll be on site all week. No remote oversight, no shortcuts. We're doing this right. He hung up and leaned back in the chair. Outside, waves rolled quietly against the shore. Tourists danced at the tiki bar, unaware of the changes underway behind the scenes. Perry watched the darkness through the office window. He wasn't done. Not even close. The next morning brought overcast skies and a slow, steady wind that rustled the palms outside the resort's main entrance. Perry arrived early, long before the first guests made their way to breakfast, and walked straight into the staff meeting room. It still smelled faintly of stale coffee and industrial carpet, but the air felt different. Focused. Watchful. Amber sat at the end of the table, a clipboard in front of her and a highlighter between her fingers. She didn't look up until he pulled out the chair beside her. "You're early," she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear.
"So are you," Perry replied.
"That your list?" She handed it over without a word. He scanned it carefully. The handwriting was tight and deliberate. She'd broken it down by category: coverage gaps, equipment shortages, first aid gear past expiration, and a note about the need for Spanish-language safety signage near the jet ski rental zone. "I had Nate help me finish it," she said. "He's resting today. The clinic says he'll need a week off minimum. They're running more tests but ruled out anything contagious." "What about his hours?" "I had him clock in for yesterday. I figured you'd approve it."
"Ido." She nodded, then hesitated. "You still want me leading the team?" "I wouldn't have asked if I wasn't sure. I haven't done this before." Perry leaned back. "That's what makes you useful. You haven't absorbed bad habits yet." She gave a quiet laugh, the first real one he'd heard from her. "I'll take that as a compliment." "Good. You should." They were interrupted by a knock. Kelsey stepped in, holding a folder. "HR's on site," she said. "They're setting up in the conference room." Perry stood. "Thanks. You all right?" "I got my schedule this morning," she said. "Bria and I both have regular shifts. No cuts. No double backs." He nodded once. "We'll keep it that way." By mid-morning, chairs filled the conference room, where each department lead met privately with HR's audit team. Perry stayed out of most of the interviews, reading through policy binders and old training logs in the office next door. He found outdated manuals, missing certifications, and a vendor contract that hadn't been reviewed in over 4 years. At noon, he met with the new interim operations manager, a woman named Carla from the Charleston location. She was sharp, veteran-level hospitality, and not interested in excuses. "You've got the bones of a solid team here," she said, flipping through her notes. "But they've been ignored so long. Half of them stopped bothering to report problems." "What do you need from me?" Perry asked. "2 things.
Authority to rewrite the scheduling system and approval to flag any supervisor who's been blocking upward feedback." "You've got both." She closed her notebook. "Then we'll be fine. It'll take time, but we'll get there." Perry walked with her through the back corridor, where the laundry room was running at half-pace. Bria was folding quietly, her motions precise. Carla stepped in, introduced herself, and asked about current load targets. Bria answered without pausing her work. "We average 1,800 pounds a day. That's with one dryer acting up and no folding assistant after 4. "Too much for a 2-person team," Carla said. Bria didn't argue. "It's what we've got." "You'll have 3 by Friday," Carla said. I'm pulling someone from the Charleston talent pool and sending a local temp until we hire permanent. Bria set down the towel she was folding and looked at Perry. You're serious about this? I am. She nodded once, then went back to work. Later that afternoon, Perry met with the resort's food and beverage supervisor, a wiry man in his early 30s named Dustin. The kitchen had been the only department with no formal complaints submitted, but Perry wanted to see it himself. He followed Dustin into the prep area, where two cooks were chopping vegetables and a dishwasher was spraying down racks. You've been here how long?
Perry asked.
For years, Dustin said. Started on grill line. Took over when the last guy left during COVID. You short now. Always. But we rotate shifts smart. Nobody's pushed past 10 hours. If someone's sick, I cover. It's not ideal, but we don't cut corners. Perry studied him. No signs of strain. The team moved efficiently, and the prep station was spotless. You ever report issues to Jay? Dustin wiped his hands on a towel.
Once.
When one of my guys had a family emergency, Jay told him to find a sub or lose the shift. I covered it myself and stopped looping him in after that. Why didn't you escalate? Dustin shrugged. Didn't know who would care. You do now. He returned to the admin office late in the day, where HR had finished compiling their findings. Most of it aligned with what he'd seen firsthand: ignored complaints, retaliatory write-ups, and a disturbing pattern of staff being discouraged from using their health benefits. One file grabbed his attention. It contained internal emails between Jay and a regional recruiter. In them, Jay had declined to interview several candidates based on appearance, flagging one as too urban and another as not our clientele's vibe. He hadn't even tried to hide it. Perry printed the exchange and handed it to the audit lead. This gets escalated to legal, he said. We'll review every hiring decision from the past year. The audit lead nodded. Already in motion. That evening, Perry called a full team meeting in the staff lounge. Every employee was invited, from lifeguards to kitchen crew. He stood near the door as they trickled in, watching as people exchanged looks, unsure what to expect. When the room settled, he stepped forward. I won't take much of your time, he began. You've already worked enough today. A few quiet laughs punctuated the stillness. I came here thinking this resort was running fine. Smooth numbers, good reviews. But I was looking at the wrong things. I wasn't paying attention to what mattered: how you're treated, what you're being asked to carry, and who's doing the asking. He paused. That changes now. Heads lifted. No one spoke. Some of you were told your voices didn't matter. That's over. We're rebuilding our feedback systems. Every complaint will be reviewed by a neutral third party. No more rerouting. No more retaliation. He saw Kelsey near the back, arms loosely folded, gaze steady. We're hiring, training, auditing every decision made under the last management. If you've been denied medical care, pay adjustments, or basic dignity, HR will correct it. You'll be made whole. He looked around the room. Some of you are probably wondering if this sticks. If I'll vanish, and things go back the way they were. He straightened. I'll be staying here for the next month. Not in a suite. Not in an office. I'll be working alongside you, department to department. I want to learn every inch of this place again. And I want you to hold me accountable while I do. It was Bria who finally broke the silence. You're staying in the staff dorms? He nodded. Hope you like thin mattresses, she said. That time, the room laughed for real. When the meeting ended, people lingered. Some approached him with quiet questions. Others simply nodded as they passed. He stayed until the last employee left, then walked out into the night air. The beach was quiet now. The Lifeguard tower empty. The lights from the bar cast long reflections on the wet sand. He stood there a long time, hands in his pockets, eyes on the horizon. This wasn't about fixing a resort anymore. It was about earning back trust he hadn't realized he'd lost. And this time, he wasn't leaving until he did.